Welcome to FTB Weekends. We're recording this on the 23rd of July, Saturday. It is currently 12:11 p.m. Eastern Time. In case something changes in one of our stories between now when we're recording and when this actually shows up and you hear it. I'm Jason C. McLean. Welcome, as always, Dawn McSweeney. Welcome, Dawn.
Hello.
You excited for the Pope? Pope's here Sunday.
Not really.
Here. No?
No? It's all very interesting.
Not going to watch it, not going to stream it like it's Cinema Guzzo. I'm wondering if you can get like a pirated stream of the papal visit somewhere online, and
I'm sure some people would feel that was sinful, but I'm okay with it. Just quickly, he's here to apologize, so that's good. A lot of people in the Native community and survivors and the people who are affected by intergenerational trauma as a result of residential schools and the church involvement and the state involvement are feeling particularly sensitive. I've been listening to people on interviews that they would like some patience and space. A lot of people are feeling re-traumatized. Glad he's here to apologize. Hope it goes well. It's all kind of weird.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start this week with something that we don't normally cover. We don't normally cover wrestling, pro wrestling, but this is actually this is a big like financial news story, entertainment news story. Vince McMahon,
his middle name is Kennedy.
Yeah, Vincent K. McMahon. Yeah, Vince McMahon Jr. This is to separate him from his dad. Who's been the in charge of basically this one wrestling company for like over 40 years. And now it's a $5 billion publicly traded company, World Wrestling Entertainment. He has actually stepped down as permanently as CEO and chairman. His daughter Stephanie is the now chairwoman and co-CEO with Nick Khan, and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, or Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, is now the head of talent relations, because the old head of talent relations was also temporarily replaced in this whole scandal. Basically for inappropriate behavior, whereas Vince McMahon was originally sort of temporarily stepped down because he was being investigated for the board for a $3 million payout to a woman he had an affair with. But then there was another story saying that there was like basically several payouts over the years, including a bunch of inappropriate behavior. I think most of it was said to be consensual, but there was also apparently most of it was office staff and people. One was I think a wrestler who basically was like fired after she stopped the affair with Vince McMahon and sort of never put in the Hall of Fame. But
Earl, I need some popcorn for this tea. Go on.
Oh, it's total tea. But the thing is this. Everyone I listened to. I only watched wrestling when I was younger, when I was a kid, and then in the Attitude Era, and I got back into it a little bit, just watching, I listened to podcasts about old wrestling.
You never stopped.
I did stop for like about 10, 20 years, but I'm listening to podcasts about wrestling, and one thing all these like wrestling podcasts are talking about is like they said they thought this guy would die as the head of the promotion. He would never. He's 77 years old and he retired. But they're saying it's shocking that he would actually retire and not fight it. So maybe there's more stories coming up.
Yeah, that sounds legit. It's funny because I'm sure that it's a real business that's built on fantasy, and I'm sure that when you're 77, you've been running it for more than half your life, and you have so much power and so much money. It gets hard to remember boundaries and what's appropriate in the real world and not. And you can't just go and increase your mistress's salary on a publicly traded company like that.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing is about 20 years ago, he was playing. He got this smart idea that people started hating him after he really screwed over a wrestler, Bret Hart. So people started booing him. So he decided to be the main bad guy, the main heel. And he was Mr. McMahon, the evil. And as part of that whole character shtick, he had this thing where he was being pervy on cheating on his wife with the people. And then like there's that famous Vince McMahon meme with the sort of like orgasm face, the four meme images where he's like, and then like that. You've seen that meme?
I think so, yes.
You've seen that meme? Well, basically that meme was from a skit in the ring where he was being like seduced by one of his mistresses, Trish Stratus. The thing is, though, she gets him all tied up and then The Rock comes down and beats him up. So he was playing that kind of character on screen. So people sort of, I guess, figured that they didn't think he was actually like that behind the scenes too. But I guess he became like that behind the scenes.
Hiding in plain sight is one of the greatest ways to do it. While we're talking about sports, the Blue Jays set a franchise record last night when they beat the Red Sox 28-5.
28-5.
28-5.
Of course, I like how you say when we're talking when we're talking about sports, I like how you segued from what is technically considered sports entertainment to sports. But anyways,
well, I had quotation marks. They were just out off camera.
Okay, so the thing is, people, if you're wondering why we're talking about this kind of stuff at all, when there's serious stories, let us know in the comments. Other stories we missed. Don, you wanted to talk about a few other stories.
The world's
Russia.
On fire.
That was last week.
The world is still on fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Russia. Well, I mean, literally, like infrastructure is falling apart in the UK. The world is bursting into flames. Things like that all the climatologists now I've seen on the news, a lot of news anchors going, what do we think about all this? And I'm going, well, we've been telling you for decades. Thank you and good night. But no, in Russian news, just yesterday, the UN, with the help of Turkey, managed to get Russia and Ukraine to sign two different agreements in two different rooms. The two countries never met. The two countries were not in the same room. It's two agreements like with the UN.
War, right? They're at war with each other.
Yeah. But I mean, so currently, this is, you wouldn't call this necessary. It's while it's a good step, it's not a great step. But thanks to the UN and Turkey, they had literally just yesterday gotten some paper signed on the ability for them to be able to export all this grain that's held up, which is going to rot just sitting in Ukraine on the one hand, and is also really contributing to a global food shortage situation. So they were going to be able to allow them to export it. And then the UN and Turkey was going to check the boats and make sure that nobody was trying to smuggle back weapons or smuggle out people, or there was a whole thing. Anyway, today Russia bombed one of the ports that was going to do this in the Ukraine, and as the as the president of Estonia said, that's what you get when you make a deal with Russia, or that's the kind of dealings that Russia makes. So I just, Russia, I have some very close gene pool mixing and matching, and it's hard to say Ukrainian versus Russia, but I mean after I remember when they were working back towards having a relationship with the world, and then I remember them having a relationship with the world, and now it's going to be decades and decades of Russia being ostracized again and not getting to play with the world because of one Putin, and it's just, a lot of people are going to suffer for generations because this guy should have been capped.
Okay, on that note, let's talk about Just for Laughs.
Hey, I got Joe. So I'll be dropping an article this weekend. It'll be called, working title is Good Comedy with a Bad Crowd is Still Funny. So that's my opinion of the Just for Laughs Nasty Show. Is it's slayed. Comics were everything I wanted them to be. So much fun. Even the comics I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with, really impressed me. Had a great time. Jay Okerson was great. Everybody. And the crowd was sucked. The crowd was, I guess, a lot of industry people, maybe just curiosity seekers, maybe people who didn't know that the word nasty really meant nasty. And
were they quiet or were they booing or something?
They were quiet. They were quiet to the point where just about every comic was like, hey, this is kind of weird and uncomfortable. These are jokes. Which I've been to some comedy shows, and I've been to a lot of shows with Montrealers, and I've never seen a Montreal crowd fail so badly at being a Montreal crowd.
What was it like? Was it the same at the Culture Show, or was
no Culture Show slayed, ended with a standing O. This was, like I said, I don't know if it was because it was nasty or because there were more looky-loos and media folks than real fans.
But would have been the same people at the other show. It was a media premiere as well too.
Yes, okay, but I did see at this one, call me crazy, I saw some people who had tickets, and I was wondering if it was like a mix and match show because there was a separate entrance. So I don't know if there were some people who were really fans, and some people, because it was a bigger venue. So, but in the front, right by the front, there was even Big J was pointing out, a bunch of people pointed out this section. They're like, you guys aren't even smiling. This is uncomfortable, And I've never seen that. And I felt badly for them because the comedy slayed. Go get your tickets, go get her done.
Yeah. if you actually want to see the nasty show, you're expecting that kind of thing, and like that, then that's great.
Fantastic. It was so good. My face hurt. I was literally hitting the table. I could not get over it. Me and my boyfriend are still telling each other jokes.
You talked to Big J, right? You interviewed him and stuff like that.
I did interview Big J. Super fun. He's super great. Yamanika Sanders was there, who I was stoked to see live. She came in like wild, and she just left no survivors. Robert Kelly.
Okay.
It was all great. The comics were great, and they deserved better than the crowd gave them.
Cool. And there's also I'm seeing a show. I'm starting to see shows this week too. We got a bunch of shows coming up. Yeah, so I guess that's for the week. You can always follow when this post is shared. You can check. Follow Dawn at McMoxie on Twitter and Instagram, me at Jason C. McLean on Twitter and Instagram. On Facebook, or if you see this video there, follow at Forget the Box, share this video. On YouTube, smash that like button, follow Forget the Box, ring the bell for notifications, get the Android app. And of course, for daily content, including all this amazing Just for Laughs content coming out and Oshiaga content coming out soon, because we're going to be covering that as well too. Make sure that you check out forgetthebox.net, and we'll catch you next week for another FTB weekend.